Our next speaker really is our regular fan favorite at the summit and a leading light in the Conscious Company's faculty. He works to establish values-driven organizational cultures and empowers leaders to move beyond constraint of thought and behavior patterns to discover new perspectives. From the Conscious Leadership Academy, please welcome from Munich, Dr. Jan Bellermann.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me again. Today, I would like to talk about the essence of conscious leadership, or at least my view on it. What you are seeing here are currently the most important theories about consciousness. They have two things in common. One thing is, they don't agree with each other at all. And that tells me that science will still take some more time to figure out what consciousness is. The second thing they have in common is they believe that your consciousness is shaping your experience of life. So let's start here. How and in which way are we experiencing life? Let's go deeper. And when we go deeper, we suddenly discover it's getting very simple. Because you either are feeling great and you are enjoying life, or you are suffering and you are not enjoying life. So basically we can say, as human beings, we just experience life from two states, which I would like to call stress and well-being state. Of course, there come several emotions along with it in different intensities. So you could experience very intense fear or anger or rage. But there are also very subtle ones, like boredom or irritation. On the well-being side, you could have amazing experiences like feeling one with everything, feeling total peace, being in causeless love. But you could also be just calm and confident. In our trainings, we always face the question, hey, but I experience a third state. I often feel neutral. It's not quite right. Especially in the West, in the Western world, we are living in the mind. So the only emotions we are experiencing are the intense ones, because we are conditioned to suppress or ignore them in most of the cases. So all these subtler ones, we either ignore or we regard them as normal, and therefore we see them as neutral. But our body and our brain, they don't see that neutral state. So we are only living from two states. So let's find out what these two states are doing to our brain. And for that, we need to look at this very simple model of the brain. So the red part is the reptilian brain. This is mainly responsible for the body vital functions, for breathing, heartbeat, body temperature, but it's also responsible for the reflexes and the fast, automatic, instinctive reactions. And then we have the limbic system. The limbic system, that's around that amber part in the middle of the brain, that's responsible for your motivation, learning, the memory, and it's very famous, especially the amygdala, for driving your emotions. And then we have the blue part, the biggest part, the youngest part of the brain, which grows until we are 25 years old. And this is responsible for the higher sensory perceptions, for movements, for language, and especially this blue part at the front, the prefrontal cortex, that's responsible for empathy and the rational, logical thinking. So let's look now what these two states are doing to our brain. And some clever researchers in the UK, what they did is they've asked some participants to play a game because our brain cannot distinguish between a game and reality. And when these participants have been fully engaged in finding the next best move to win the game, you can see that the red part, this red energy, is totally in the prefrontal cortex. That means they are having full access to their rational intelligence. The moment they are facing a life-threatening situation as part of the game, this happens. The body and the brain immediately move into survival mode. The whole energy shifts from the prefrontal cortex to the reptilian brain, which is responsible for the fast, automatic, instinctive reactions. And that's great because our body is moving into survival state and is preparing for fight and flight. But let's put it into the business context. What does that mean? Every time when you are facing a new, unknown challenge, you are moving into uncertainty because you don't know how to handle it. In that moment, your brain is moving exactly into that stress state. You're not having access to your full intelligence. You're driven on autopilot. And that means you're only repeating old solutions from the past. And that doesn't sound very clever in a world that is changing every day. So what I would like to take you away from this slide is, number one, your state is determining the quality of your life, if you are in stress or in well-being. This state is determining the quality of your decisions and actions. So now we understand the impact of this state on ourselves. Let's look into what are these states doing to others. And I would like to go into a short reflection, and if you're up for it, just please close your eyes. And remember a situation when you hurt someone. It doesn't matter if that was consciously or unconsciously. Just remember a situation when you hurt someone. And then ask yourself, in what state have you been? Have you been suffering from stress, or were you feeling well? And now please remember a second situation where someone else hurt you. And please reflect again. In what state was that person? Was that person feeling well? Or was that person suffering from some stress? Thank you. Please open your eyes. What did you discover? In which state have you been when you hurt someone? Stress. Yes, thank you. In what state has that other person been when that person hurt you? Stress. Thank you. It's very obvious, isn't it? The moment we are moving into a stress state, we are causing a lot of problems. Let's look at the condition of our world today. We have 110 armed conflicts. We have 700,000 suicides every year. We have 9 million people starving to death every year. So what do you think is the collective human experience we are having here? Are we in suffering or in well-being? So humanity is really suffering. So what we have seen is, earlier in the reflection is, unhappy people create an unhappy world. But the good thing is, happy people create a happy world. Would you think about hurting someone when you are in appreciation or feeling gratitude? No, not at all. So let us ask as conscious leaders now, please be very conscious about your emotional footprint on others. Are you contributing to the well-being on this planet? Or are you contributing to the suffering? The moment when you are facing the fear of not meeting your targets, you have no access to your intelligence. And when you put that pressure on your team, they don't have access to their intelligence. And they come up with a mediocre solution at best. So I would like to ask you, please reflect, in what state are you spending most of your day? In suffering, stress state, or in well-being? So the question is now, when you dared to see your truth, how often we are in these stress states, then the next question is, how do we move out of it? And here I would like to introduce you to a very effective tool, which I learned from my mentors in India. It just takes 3 minutes. It's called Serene Mind Practice. And if you are up for it, please close your eyes and I will take you through it. Please sit straight and close your eyes. And consciously breathe deeply and exhale very slowly. And do this 3 times. And then recognize the exact emotion that is alive in you. It could be irritation. What does this guy on the stage want from me? It could be resistance. Oh, I don't want to do that. Or you could be curious and open. Or whatever it is, just name that emotion that is alive in you now. And then observe the direction of your thinking. Are your thoughts taking you back to a story of the past? Or are your thoughts creating a nice story about the future, or a chaotic story about the future? Or are you in the present moment? Just observe, don't do anything with it. And then visualize or feel a tiny little flame between your eyebrows. And focus on it. And then slowly move this flame into the middle of your brain. And let it burn all unnecessary thinking and illuminating all your brain cells. And then finally put a smile on your face and please open your eyes. Thank you. If you do this exercise every time when you feel disturbed or stressed or something like that, I tell you, I've done this, sneaked out of tough meetings, escaped to the toilet, just sat there doing it. Do it. Do it several times a day, and if you do this for 28 days, it starts rewiring your programming in the brain. You come much faster and easier out of stress. So this is a very first step for you to move out of the stress tape and moving into a calm courage. Oops. Here's my summary slide. Conscious leadership, for me, is not another concept to tell you what to do or how to do it or why to do it. Conscious leadership for me is a lifestyle. The essence of conscious leadership is my accountability from which state I am leading my personal and my professional life. You have seen the impacts. And I would like to give you two guiding questions. Number one is, from which state do I want to experience my life? And now the question to impact the others is, from which state do I want to lead and act? And these two questions have the power to completely transform your life and the lives of the people around you. So every time when you're facing a challenge, the first thing is pause. Not so easy when you're in the rush of the daily business. This is where most people fail. The second thing is observe the state in which you are and see the truth. The third thing is shift the state if necessary. And the fourth thing is address the challenge in front of you. Because if you're addressing it from a calm courage, you're having full access to your intelligence. At the same time, you're feeling connected to the people around you, and therefore you automatically come up with a great solution that serves all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.